Call the noblest to the audience. For me, with sorrow I embrace my fortune. I have rights of memory in this kingdom, which now, to claim my vantage, doth invite me. Let 4 captains bear Hamlet like a soldier to the stage, for it is likely, had he been put on, to have proved most royal. And for his passage, soldiers' music and the right of war speak loudly for him. Take up the bodies, such a sight as this. Become the field, but here shows much amiss. Go, bid the soldiers shoot.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being in 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, then the whining schoolboy with a satchel and shining morning face, creeping like a snail unwillingly to school, and then the lover, sighing like furnace with woeful ballad, made to his mistress' eyebrows, and then the soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honour, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly, with good cap on lined, with eyes severe, and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and though so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank and his big, manly voice, turning again towards childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends this strange, eventful history, the second childishness, and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything.
There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current as it serves, or lose our ventures.
Thou, nature, art my goddess. To thy law my services are bound. Wherefore should I stand in the plague of custom, or permit the curiosity of nations to deprive me, for that I am some 12 or 14 moonshines lag of a brother? Why bastard? Wherefore base? When my dimensions are as well compact, my mind as generous, and my shape as true as honest madam's issue. Wherefore brand they us with baseness, bastardy? Base? Base? Who, in the lusty stealth of nature, take more composition and fierce quality than doth, within a dull, stale, tired bed, go to the creating a whole tribe of fops, got tween a sleep and awake? Well then, legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. Our father's love is to the bastard Edmund as to the legitimate. Fine word, legitimate. Well then, my legitimate, if this letter speed and my invention thrive, Edmund the base shall top the legitimate. I grow, I prosper. Now, gods, stand up for bastards.
I cannot heave my heart into my mouth. I love your majesty according to my bond, no more nor less. Good my lord, you have begot me, bred me, loved me. I do return those duties back as are right fit. Obey you, love you, and most honour you. Why have my sisters husbands when they say they love you all? Haply when I shall wed, that man whose hand doth take my plight shall carry half my love with him, half my care and duty. Sure, I shall never marry like my sisters, to love my father all.
O grim-looked night, O night with hue so black, O night which ever art when day is not, O night, alack, 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 I fear my Thisbe's promise is forgot. And thou, O wall, O sweet, O lovely wall, that stands between her father's ground and mine, thou wall, O sweet, O lovely wall, show me thy chink to blink through with mine eyne. Thanks, courteous wall, Jove shield thee well for this. But what see I? No Thisbe do I see. O wicked wall, through whom I see no bliss, cursed be thy stones for thus deceiving me.
Betwixt mine eye and heart a league is took, and each doth good turns now unto the other. When that mine eye is famished for a look, or heart in love with sighs himself doth smother. With my love's picture then my eye doth feast, and to the painted banquet bids my heart. Another time mine eye is my heart's guest, and in his thoughts of love doth share a part. So either by thy picture, or my love, thyself away art present still with me. For thou no farther than my thoughts canst move, and I am still with them, and they with thee. Or if they sleep, thy picture in my sight awakes my heart to heart and eye's delight.
O sovereign mistress of true melancholy, the poisonous damp of night dispunge upon me, that life, a very rebel to my will, may hang no longer on me. Throw my heart against the flint and hardness of my faults, which, being dried with grief, will break to powder and finish all foul thoughts. O Antony, nobler than my revolt is infamous, forgive me in thine own particular, but let the world rank me in register, a master leaver and a fugitive. O Antony, Antony!
Farewell. God knows when we shall meet again. I have a faint, cold fear thrills through my veins that almost freezes up the heat of life. I'll call them back again to comfort me. Nurse! What should she do here? No, my dismal scene I needs must act alone. Come, vial. What if this mixture do not work at all? Shall I be married then tomorrow morning? No, no, this shall forbid it. Lie thou there. What if it be poison, which the friar subtly hath ministered to have me dead, lest in this marriage he should be dishonoured, because he married me before to Romeo? I fear it is. And yet methinks it should not, for he hath still been tried a holy man. How if, when I am laid in that tomb, I wake before the time that Romeo come to redeem me? Oh, there is a fearful point. Shall I not then be stifled in the vault, to whose foul mouth no healthsome air breathes in, and there die strangled ere my Romeo comes? Oh, if I wake, shall I not be distraught, environed with all these hideous fears, and madly play with my forefather's joints? And in this rage, with some great kingsman's bone as a club, dash out my desperate brains. Oh, look. Methinks I see my cousin's ghost seeking out Romeo, that did spit his body into a rapier's point. Stay, Tybalt, stay! Stay! Romeo, I come. This I drink to thee.
Yet here, Laertes, aboard, for shame. The wind sits in the shoulder of your sail, and you are stayed for. There, my blessing with thee. And these few precepts in thy memory see thy character. Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought his act. Be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar. Those friends thou hast, and their adoption tried, grapple them to thy soul with hoops of steel. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment of each new-hatched, unfledged comrade. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in, bear that the opposed may beware of thee. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy, but not expressed in fancy. Rich, not gaudy. For the apparel oft proclaims the man, and they in France of best rank and station are the most select and pleasure in that. Neither a borrower nor a lender be. For loan oft loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. This above all. To thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. Farewell. My blessing season this in thee.
Puppet? Why so? Ah, that way goes the game. Now I perceive that she hath made compare between our statures. She hath urged her height, and with her personage, a tall personage, her height forsooth, she hath prevailed with him. And are you grown so high in his esteem, because I am so dwarfish and so low? Well, how low am I, thou painted maypole? Speak! How low am I? I am not yet so low that my nails can reach unto thine eyes.
Once more! Unto the breach, dear friends, once more! Or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favoured rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let pry through the portage of the head like the brass cannon. Let the brow o'erwhelm it as fearfully as does a galled rock o'erhang and jutty his confounded base, swilled with the wild and wasteful ocean. Now, set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide. Hold hard the breath and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, on, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from fathers of warproof. Fathers that, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts, from morn till even, fought and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonour not your mothers. Now, attest that those whom you called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble lustre in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge cry God for Harry, England, and St. George!
Be not afeard. The isle is full of noises, sounds and sweet airs that give delight and hurt not. Sometimes 1,000 twangling instruments will hum about mine ears, and sometimes voices that, if I then had waked after long sleep, will make me sleep again. And then, in dreaming, the skies methought would open, and show riches ready to drop upon me, that when I waked, I cried to dream again.
What's he that wishes so? My cousin, Westmoreland. No, my fair cousin. If we are marked to die, we are enow to do our country loss. And if to live, why, the fewer men, the greater the share of honour. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear. But if it be a sin to covet honour, why I am the most offending soul alive. No, faith, my cause, wish not a man from England. God's peace, I would not lose so great an honour as methinks one man more would share from me, for the best hope I have. God's peace, wish not one man more. Rather proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he who hath no stomach for this fight, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse. We would not die in that man's company, who fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when the day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispian. He that shall live this day and see old age shall yearly on the vigil feast his friends and say, tomorrow is St. Crispin's day. Then he will strip his sleeve and show his scars and say, these wounds I had on Crispin's day. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot, but he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedmond and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This story shall the good man teach his son. And this day, Crispin shall ne'er go forth from this day forth until the end of time, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England, now abed, shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhood's cheat, whiles any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's day.
Is this a dagger which I see before me? The handle toward my hand. Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Art thou not, fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind? A false creation, proceeding from the heat-oppressed brain. I see thee yet, in form as palpable, which this now I draw. Thou marshalst me the way that I was going, and such an instrument I am to use. Mine eyes are made the fools of the other senses, or else worth all the rest. I see thee still, and on thy blade and dudgeon gouts of blood which was not there before. 'Tis no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. Now, o'er the one half world nature seems dead, and wicked dreams abuse the curtained sleep. Witchcraft celebrates pale Hecate's offerings, and withered murder alarmed by his sentinel the wolf, whose howls his watch thus with his stealthy pace, with Tarquin's ravishing strides towards his design moves like a ghost. Thou sure and firm set earth, hear not my steps which way they walk, for fear thy very stones prate of my whereabouts, and take the present horror from the time which now suits with it. Whilst I threat he lives, words to the heat of deeds too cold breath gives. I go, and it is done. The bell invites me. Hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven. Or to hell.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep no more, and by to sleep to say we end the heartache and thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to.
When shall we three meet again, in thunder, lightning, or in rain?
When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost or won.
That'll be ere the set of sun.
Where the place?
Upon the heath.
There to meet with Macbeth.
I come, Greymalkin.
Paddock calls.
Anon.
Fair is foul and foul is fair, hover through the fog and filthy air.
Blow, winds, and crack your cheeks. Rage, blow, ye cataracts and hurricanes. Spout till you have drenched our steeples, drowned the cocks. You sulphurous and thought-executing fires, vaunt couriers of oak-cleaving thunderbolts, singe my white head. And thou, all-shaking thunder, strike flat the thick rotundity of the world. Crack nature's mould, all German spill at once that makes ingrateful man. Rumble thy bellyful, spit fire, spout rain. Nor rain, wind, thunder, fire are my daughters. I tax you not, you elements, with unkindness. I never gave you kingdom, called you children. You owe me no subscription. Then let fall your horrible pleasure. And here I stand, your slave, a poor, infirm, weak, and despised old man. But yet I call you servile ministers that will with two pernicious daughters join your high-engendered battles gainst a head so old and white as this. Oh, 'tis foul.
How happy some or other some can be. Through Athens I am thought as fair as she.
But what of that? Demetrius thinks not so. He will not know all that he do know. And as he errs, doting on Hermione's eyes, so I, admiring of his qualities.
Love looks not with the eye, but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind.
Nor hath love's mind for any judgment taste. Wings and no eyes, fig unheedy haste.
And therefore is love said to be a child, because in choice he is so oft beguiled.
As waggish boys in game themselves forswear, so the boy's love is perjured everywhere.
For ere Demetrius looked in Hermes' eye, he hailed an oath that he was only mine.
And when this heat some hail from Hermia felt, so he dissolved, and showers of oaths did melt.
I will go tell him of fair Hermia's flight, then to the wood will he tomorrow night pursue her. And as for his intelligence, I have thanks that it is a dear expense.
But herein me nigh to enrich my pain, to have his sight thither and back again.
Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this sun of York. On all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean, buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments, our stern alarums changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim-visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, and now, instead of mounting barbed steeds to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasing of a lute. But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking-glass, I that am rudely stamped and want love's majesty, to strut before a wanton ambling nymph, I that am curtailed of fair proportion, cheated of feature by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this breathing world scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable that dogs bark at me as I halt by them, why I, in this weak piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to spy my shadow in the sun and descant on mine own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover to entertain these farewell-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain and hate the idle pleasures of these days. Plots I have laid, inductions dangerous, by drunk prophecies, libels, and dreams, to set my brother Clarence and the king in deadly hate, the one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, this day should Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy which says that G of Edward's heirs, the murderer, shall be. Dive thoughts down to my soul. Here Clarence comes.
Oh, never was there queen so mightily betrayed. Yet at the first I saw the treasons planted. Why should I believe you can be mine and true, though you in swearing shake the throned gods, who have been false to Fulvia? Oh, riotous madness, to be entangled with these mouth-made vows, which break themselves in swearing. Oh, nay, pray you, seek no colour for your going, but bid farewell, and go, when you sued staying. Then was the time for words. No going then. Eternity was in our lips and eyes, bliss in our brows bent. None our parts so poor, but was a race of heaven. They are so still. Or thou, the greatest soldier in the world, art turned the greatest liar. Oh, I would I had thy inches, Thou shouldst see there was a heart in Egypt.
Sein oder nicht sein, das ist hier die Frage. Ob's edler im Gemüt die Pfeil und Schleudern des wütenden Geschicks erdulden oder sich waffnend gegen eine See von Plagen durch Widerstand sie enden. Sterben, schlafen, nichts weiter. Und zu wissen, dass ein Schlaf das Herzweh und die 1000 Stöße endet, die unsers Fleisches Erbteil, ist sein Ziel aufs Innigste zu wünschen. Sterben, schlafen, schlafen, vielleicht auch träumen. Ja, da liegt's. Was in dem Schlaf für Träume kommen mögen, wenn wir die irdische Verstrickung lösen, das zwingt uns stillzustehen. Das ist die Rücksicht, die Elend lässt zu hohen Jahren kommen. Denn wer ertrügt der Zeiten Spott und Geisel, des mächtigen Druck, des stolzen Misshandlungen, verschmähter Liebe Pein, des Rechtes Aufschub, den Übermut der Ämter und die Schmacht, die Unwert schweigendem Verdienst erweist, wenn er sich selbst in Ruhestand setzen könnte mit einer Nadel bloß. Wer trüge Lasten und stöhnt und schwitzte unter Lebensmüh? Nur, dass die Furcht vor etwas nach dem Tod, das unentdeckte Land, von des Bezirk kein Wanderer wiederkehrt, den Willen irrt. Dass wir die Übel, die wir haben, lieber als ertragen, als zu Unbekannten fliehen, so macht Bewusstsein feige aus uns allen. Der angeborenen Farbe der Entschließung wird des Gedankens Blässe angekränkelt und Unternehmen, hoch gezielt und wertvoll, durch diese Rücksicht aus der Bahn gelenkt, verlieren so der Handlung Namen. Still, die reizende Ophelia, Nymphe, schließ in dein Gebet all meine Sünden ein.
Seems, madam? Nay, it is. I know not seems. 'Tis not alone my inky cloak, good mother, nor customary suits of solemn black, nor the dejected haviour of the visage, no, nor the fruitful river in the eye, together with all forms, moods, shows of grief, that can denote me truly. These indeed seem, for they are actions that a man might play, but I have that within which passeth show, these but the trappings and the suits of woe.
Full of vexation come I with complaint against my child, my daughter Hermia. Stand forth, Demetrius. My noble lord, this man hath my consent to marry her. Stand forth, Lysander. And, my gracious duke, this man hath bewitched the bosom of my child. Thou, Lysander, thou hast given her rhymes and interchanged love tokens with my child. Thou hast by moonlight at her window sung with feigning voice verses of feigning love and stolen the impression of her fantasy. With bracelets of thy hair, rings, gauds, conceits, knacks, trifles, nosegays, sweetmeats, messengers of strong prevailment in unhardened youth, with cunning hast thou filched my daughter's heart. And, my gracious duke, be it so she will not before your grace consent to marry with Demetrius, I beg the royal privilege of Athens. As she is my daughter, I may dispose of her, which shall be either to this gentleman or to her death, according to our law immediately provided in that case.
Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, creeps in its petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. life is but a walking shadow. It is a poor player who struts and frets in his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Thus do I ever make my fool my purse, for I mine own gain knowledge should profane, if I would time expend with such a snipe, but for my sport and profit. I hate the more, and it's thought abroad that twixt my sheets he has done my office. I know not if it be true, but for mere suspicion of the kind will do as if for surety. He holds me well, the better shall my purpose work upon him. Cassio's a proper man. Now, to get his place and plume up my will in double knavery, how? Let's see. After some time, to abuse Othello's ear, that he's too familiar with his wife. He hath a smooth dispose, and a person to be suspected, framed to make women false. I have it. It's engineered. Hell and night must bring this monstrous birth to the world's light.
From fairest creatures we desire increase, that thereby beauty's rose might never die. But as the riper should, by time decease, his tender air might bear his memory. But thou, contracted to thine own bright eyes, feedest thy light's flame with self-substantial fuel, making famine where abundance lies. Thyself, thy foe, to thy sweet self too cruel, and only herald to the gaudy spring. Within thy bud buryest thy content, and tender churl makest waste in niggarding. Pity the world, or else this glutton be, to eat the world's due to the grave and thee.
Oh me, you juggler, you canker blossom, you thief of love. Have you come by night and stolen my love's heart from him?
Fine in faith. Have you no modesty, no maiden shame, no touch of bashfulness? What will you tear impatient answers from my gentle tongue? Fie, you counterfeit, you puppet, you.
Puppet? Why so? Aye, that way goes the game. Now I perceive that she hath made compare between our statures. She hath urged her height, and with her personage, her tall personage, her height forsooth, she hath prevailed with him. And are you grown so high in his esteem, because I am so dwarfish and so low? How low am I, thou painted maypole? Speak, how low am I? I am not yet so low, but that my nails cannot reach into thine eyes.
I pray you, that you may mock me, gentlemen. Let her not hurt me. I was never cursed. I have no gift at all in shrewdishness. I'm a right maid for my cowardice. Let her not strike me. You perhaps may think, because she is something lower than myself, that I can match her.
Lower? Hark again.
Good Hermia, do not be so bitter with me. I evermore did love you, Hermia. Did ever keep your counsels, never wronged you. Save that, in love unto Demetrius, I told him of your stealth unto this wood. He followed you. For love I followed him. But he hath chid me hence and threatened me to strike me, spurn me, nay, to kill me too. And now, so you will let me quiet go. To Athens I will bear my folly back, and follow you no further. Let me go. You see how simple and how fond I am.
Why, get you gone. Who is that hinders you?
A foolish heart that I leave here behind.
How sweet the moonlight sleeps upon this bank. Here will we sit, and let the sound of music creep in our ears. Soft stillness in the night become the touches of sweet harmony. Come ho, and wake Diana with a hymn. With sweetest touches, pierce your mistress' ears, and draw her home with music.
I'm never merry when I hear sweet music.
The reason is your spirits are attentive. For do but note a wild and wanton herd, or race of youthful and unhandled colts, fetching mad bounds, bellowing and neighing loud, which is the hot condition of their blood. If they but hear perchance a trumpet sound, or any air of music touch their ear, you shall perceive them make a mutual stand, their savage eyes turned to a modest gaze by the sweet power of music. Therefore the poet did feign that Orpheus drew trees, stones and floods, since naught so stockish, hard and full of rage, but music for the time doth change his nature. The man that hath no music in himself, nor is not moved by concord of sweet sounds, is fit for treasons, stratagems and spoils. The motions of his spirit are dull as night, and his affections dark as Erebus. Let no such man be trusted.
Bring me no more reports, let them fly all, till Burnham Wood remove to Dunsinane I cannot taint with fear. What's the boy Malcolm? Was he not born of woman? The spirits that know all mortal consequences have pronounced me thus. Fear not, Macbeth. No man that's born of woman shall e'er have power upon thee. Then fly, false thanes, and mingle with the English epicures. The mind I sway by, and the heart I bear, shall never sag with doubt, nor shake with fear. The devil damn thee, black, thou cream-faced loon! Where got'st thou that goatee look?
When in disgrace, with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him, with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented least. Yet in these thoughts, myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising, sings from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings.
They met me in the day of success, and I have learned by the perfectest report they have more in them than mortal knowledge. When I burned in desire to question them further, they made themselves air, into which they vanished. Whilst I stood wrapped in the wonder of it, came misses from the king, who all hailed me Thane of Cawdor, by which title before these weird sisters saluted me and referred me to the coming on of time with Hail King that shall be. This I have thought good to deliver thee, my dearest partner of greatness, that thou mightst not lose the dews of rejoicing by being ignorant of what greatness is promised thee. Lay it to thy heart, and farewell. Glamis thou art, and Cawdor, and shalt be what thou art promised. Yet I do fear thy nature. 'Tis too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way. Thou wouldst be great, art not without ambition, but without the illness should attend it. What thou wouldst highly, that thou wouldst wholly, would not play false, and yet wouldst wrongly win. Thou dost have, great Glamis, that which cries, thus thou must do if thou have it. and that which rather thou dost fear to do than wishes should be undone. Hie thee hither, that I may pour my spirits in thine ears, and chastise thee with the valour of my tongue, all that impedes thee from the golden round, which fate and metaphysical aid does seem to have thee crowned withal. What is your tidings?
The king comes here tonight.
Thou art mad to say it. Is not your master with him? For, if it were, he would have informed for preparation.
So, please you, it is true. Our thane is coming. One of my fellows had the speed of him, who, almost dead for breath, had scarcely more than would make up his message.
Give him tending. He brings great news. The raven is hoarse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. Come, you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here and fill me from the crown to the toe top full of direst cruelty. Make thick my blood. Stop up the access and passage to remorse, that no compunctuous visitings of nature shake my fell purpose, nor keep peace between the effect and it. Come to my woman's breasts and take my milk for gall, you murdering ministers, wherever in your sightless substances you wait on nature's mischief. Come, thick night, and pour thee in the dunnest smoke of hell, that my keen knife see not the wound it makes, nor heaven peep through the blanket of dark to cry hold. Hold.
I wonder that you will still be talking, Signor Benedick. Nobody marks you.
What, my dear Lady Disdain, are you yet living?
Is it possible Disdain should die when she hath such food to feed it as Signor Benedick? Courtesy itself must convert to disdain if you come in her presence.
Then is courtesy a turncoat? But it is certain I am loved of all ladies, only you excepted. And I could find in my heart that I had not a hard heart, for truly I love none.
A dear happiness to women. They would else have been troubled with a pernicious suitor. I thank God and my cold blood that I'm of your humour for that. I'd rather hear my dog bark at a crow than a man swear he loves me.
God, keep your ladyship still in that mind, so some gentleman or other shall scape a predestinate scratched face.
Scratching could not make it worse, and 'twas such a face as yours were.
Well, you are a rare parrot teacher.
A bird of my tongue is better than a beast of yours.
I would my horse had the speed of your tongue, and so good a continuer, but keep your way in God's name. I've done.
You always end with a jade trick. I know you of old.
Why, he stalks up and down like a peacock, astride and astand, ruminates like a hostess that hath no arithmetic, but her brain to set down her reckoning, bites his lip with a politic regard, so would say, there's wit in this head and 'twould out, and so there is, but it lies as coldly in him as fire in flint, that will not show without knocking. The man's undone forever, for if Hector break not his neck in combat, he will do it himself in vain glory. He knows me not. I said, good morrow, Ajax. He replies, thanks, Agamemnon. What think of you, that this man takes me for a general? He's grown very landfish, languageless, monster, plague of opinion. A man may wear it on both sides like a leather jerkin.
The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives, and him that takes. 'Tis mightiest in the mightiest. It becomes the throned monarch better than the crown. His sceptre shows the force of temporal power, the attribute to awe and majesty, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings. But mercy is above this sceptred sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God himself. And earthly power doth then show likest gods when mercy seasons justice. Therefore, Jew, though justice be thy plea, consider this, that in the course of justice none of us should see salvation. We do pray for mercy, and that same prayer doth teach us all to tender the deeds of mercy. I have spoke thus much to mitigate the justice of thy cause, which, if thou follow, this strict court of Venice must needs give sentence against the merchant there.
I have sounded the very bass string of humility. Sirrah, I am sworn brother to a leash of drawers, and can call them all by their Christian names, as Tom, Dick, and Francis. They take it already upon their salvation, that though I be but the Prince of Wales, yet I am King of courtesy. And tell me flatly, I am no proud Jack like Falstaff, but a Corinthian, a lad of metal, a good boy, by the Lord, so they call me. And when I am King of England, I shall command all the good lads in East Cheap. They call drinking deep, dying scarlet, and when you breathe in your watering, they cry hem, and bid you play it off. To conclude, I am so good a proficient in 1/4 of an hour that I can drink with any tinker in his own language during my life. I tell thee, Ned, thou hast lost much honour that thou wert not with me in this sweet action. But, sweet Ned, to sweeten which name of Ned, I give thee this pennyworth of sugar, clapped even now into my hands by an underskinker, one that never spake other English in his life than 8 shillings and a sixpence. And you are welcome, with the shrill addition of, anon, sir, score a pint of bastard in the half moon. Or so. But, Ned, to drive away the time till Falstaff come, I prithee, do thou stand in some by room while I question my puny drawer to what end he gave me the sugar. And do thou never leave calling Francis, that his tale to me may be nothing but anon. Step aside, I'll show thee a precedent.
Cool, I know that last little bit I forgot. Is that light slightly in the way?
Chest up. Okay. Sorry.
Nailed it, mate.
And the slump, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, got that word wrong.
Once more!
Start again. Okay. Me, juggler. No, that's not even right.
That's
It
right,
is.
that's right.
Ah!
Once more!
No!
That's not
Have
right
you
at all.
come by night and stolen my love's heart? Again. Okay.
Once more!
Got it.
I tell you what, if we make a mistake this time, we don't react, we just plough through. No. It's only Briggsy will spot it.
Why is it that one? Why is it always that one eye?
Oh no! Got that?
Are you just going to see my face?
Doing it like this makes me forget, yeah.
And I'm looking into...
How's that?
No eyes.
Sorry,
Figure
let me start again. I moved before I should have done.
To revive discontentment.
It's a bit shouty, this one.
Yep.
I've got quite a loud voice generally.
Of unhardened youth in... I've lost that one again.
I missed out a line, that's why I got confused.
How's my hair? Is it okay?
This is so strangling me.
Blah, blah, blah.
How did that look?
I don't know if I got all the lines in there.
I've just...
It's not that rehearsed.
One take!
Yeah!
Farewell. My blessing seasoned this in thee.